everybody. Welcome to CP Conversations with your host, Nicole Luongo. I'm so happy that you guys are joining me today. It is March, and if you have cerebral palsy, you know what that means. That means that March is Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month, and March 25th is National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Day. So my guest today is Lawrence Seiler, and he is the executive producer of Abled and On Air in association with Orca Media station in Montpelier, Vermont. He's going to tell us all about his life as a journalist, what he does to advocate for people with cerebral palsy and other disabilities, and maybe if we have time, he'll explain to me how a New Yorker roots for the Red Sox. But I digress. So, Lawrence, welcome to the show.
Yes, I'm so glad to be here. I don't like the Red Sox, but
what? That's not what you said in the interview that I watched. But hey, I won't hold that against you. So okay, so let everybody know you are originally from New York, and now
I'm originally from Bronx, New York. Yes.
Okay, and now you live in Vermont.
Montpelier, Vermont, which is the capital city, small capital, the smallest capital city, but yes.
Right, right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so what's the weather like today?
Snowy, slushy. I wish it was 80 degrees. My wife and I are jealous because you have 80-degree weather.
Yeah, wow, there's such a difference between your weather and ours, but maybe one day you'll make it to Florida. So tell us, what was life like growing up for you as a person with cerebral palsy?
Well, back in 1973, when I was born, there weren't very many services for people with disabilities, but thankfully enough, my parents took me to the Rose F. Kennedy Center in the Pelham Bay section of the Bronx, in the Pelham section of the Bronx, and I got occupational and physical therapy there, and the rest is history. It wasn't easy. I was a late walker. I walked at 2 years old. I wasn't a late eater, as you can tell, but I did. I like to eat, like good food. I'm a picky person when it comes to that, but in life, if something good advice is in life, if something doesn't work, you try again. We can't give up going forward, because if we give up as a person with a disability, then we'll never try.
Yep, that's one of the central messages of this show. I bring people on who persevere, and they're doing great things in society to show everybody that, hey, it doesn't matter if you have a disability, if you have cerebral palsy, whatever you're going through in life, you can do whatever you want. You might have to do it differently, or it might take you more time than somebody else, but it doesn't matter. You should still try.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, one of the most recent articles that I had written for a Jewish newspaper, Aish.com, Aish in Jewish in Hebrew means fire or flame. So, one of the comments. Now, here's the thing. One of the comments that the person wrote when I wrote the article. The article's entitled "God told me to make God told me to make lemonade." Okay, so the person wrote that maybe one day people with disabilities can be treated like human beings. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay.
Yes,
and we have a lot to go. Yes, in certain states, there are people that are still institutionalized, which is a bad thing. Why is there still 39 states that institutionalize individuals?
good question.
That shouldn't. So we still have a lot to go, and a lot of progress to make. Yeah. Go
Is
ahead.
that one of the reasons why you moved to Vermont, because they support people with disabilities much better than other states might?
I'm telling the honest truth because I'm a journalist. Um, there's an office in New York called the Office uh, of the Office for Developmental Disabilities, OPWDD, Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. They have more commissioners than people have pants in their closet. Okay, or they have more commissioners than Wendy's has food, or any fast food restaurant, because you keep changing commissioners, or you keep changing staff around, or staff wants more. See, they they made a cap. A lot of these state organizations in New York and certain states make a cap. CEOs or high directors can't make more than 300 or between 200 to $300,000 a year. Anything over than that, then you can't. There's no raises beyond that. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the biggest things is there's a lot of Medicaid. One of the things that needs to change is that there is a lot of Medicaid fraud and disability fraud out there, and
Right.
it's really ruining opportunities for people with disabilities. You know what I mean?
Yes,
It's
I do. Is that something that you talked about in your article that was recently published?
no, what I spoke about in my article was, if life is sour, make it sweet. And I went through certain things in my life. The bad thing when I grew up that happened with my parents. My things that happened with my wife. My wife is a survivor of World Trade Center. She was in the building
Wow.
when it happened, and she
Wow.
ran down the stairs. Her and her friend ran down the stairs. They were hand in hand together, and they ran because they worked for the Port Authority.
Mm.
Okay, and the Port Authority owned the building, and the rest is history. There, it took her 4 hours to get home. So
How is your wife now?
it's much better because Vermont, we get a lot of services as far as um, counseling and all that kind of stuff. So it's helping. Now, we don't need every single service. We live in a beautiful apartment building. Um, it's a wonderful thing. My wife is getting help for her diabetes. She's getting help with a lot of things. She's going back to school, so things
Mm-hmm.
are 10 times better. New York. The reason why we left New York, it was just way too stressful. For 25 plus years, I was freelancing for a company called BronxNet Community Television, where I did reports and television shows for and about people with disabilities. I was a student at Lehman College, got my degree in journalism. I had a mentor who said to me, his name was JJ Gonzalez. He happened to be formerly from Channel 2 News. He said to me, what do what kind of beat do you want as far as beat meaning news beat? What do you want to concentrate on? And I said, stories about us. Elaborate more. And once I elaborated, then we did 2 3 minute pieces. Because BronxNet had a news program, News 67, which I went out as a roving reporter. Question of the day, from that, questions of the week, and then did those pieces, and then those pieces became a half an hour program that I worked on producing, called Special People, Special Issues. But I had to make more lemonade. So I was there for 20 years,
Wow.
and my wife and I moved to Vermont. Yeah, we had stumbling blocks. One of the stumbling blocks is
But
it's
let me ask you, Lawrence, before you continue with your story, what was it like? You're somebody who has special needs and you're getting into an industry that really for the most part they ignore us. So what was that experience like for you?
industry in terms of television.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, people have told me, "Oh, you won't make it." And the article that I wrote goes on to say, now I hate using this blasted word, and I'm only going to use it once. Oh, you won't be a news reporter. They won't hire you. You're disabled and retarded. You say negativity. So, but the R word in medical jargon for years, it took states to stop using that word.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And some people still use it, and then we have to tell them to stop because I'm going to give you the definition of of this. The word retarded comes from, and I tell my students because I've taught students in New York, media and stuff. So the word retarded comes from the word retardando, which is the French word for slow, or slowing up, or to retard. Like, the paint is, it slows down the process. Okay.
Mhm.
So it has nothing to do with people. Basically, the equation is this: if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all.
Exactly.
And there are other words in the quote unquote disability genre that are not used anymore. The word feeble,
Okay.
feeble minded,
Right.
the word handicap,
Mhm.
okay, and others.
So you're
Uh,
you're actually bringing up, and there's an issue in the disability community. Maybe you've heard about this, but I hear it in my circles with a lot of people, and it's with respect to how people want to be identified.
mhm.
So let me ask you: do you say you're disabled? Do you say you have special
I
needs?
say either word, either I say differently abled.
Okay.
I say abled.
Okay.
I don't like the word because the word dis means not. If you put abled, abled means to do. So
Right. Right.
not to do. That's basically it.
Yeah, yeah,
And this
there's so many points of view with that. So yeah, people have so many opinions about that. I mean, that's why whenever I'm in the media, I've been published many, many times. I make sure that they send me the article before they're going to publish it so that I know what they're writing and how they're describing me. And I've also written a couple articles on how the media uses the word suffer. For example, Nicole
uh,
Luongo suffers with cerebral palsy. And
I had to tell numerous any news station example that a news station or article that has been written about me, we don't suffer from anything.
Thanks for watching this episode of CP Conversations. I'll continue my conversation with Lawrence Seiler in part 2.